Yeah, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. I had thought that I've seen it all, but it seems that every day something new comes into my line of sight that just blows my fucking mind, right? Was never really too familiar with this whole controversy over this show called Cuties until recent. Until people had brought it to my attention because, quite frankly, I don't really get into or pay attention to any of this weirdo shit that comes from the radical left. And you wonder why I always bash the left, because they give me the ammunition to shoot at them with this weirdo stuff right here. Now, I have friends that are all up in my channel, people that subscribe to me, people that argue with me about the left, people that say they're on the left. But when you run them through the leftist checkpoint list, they really don't qualify. They may be a Democrat, they may be progressive, they may be liberal if they're older, if they're boomer or somewhere around that age, but they're not really this radical left that I talk about. The radical left that I talk about are on a whole different level, people, right? It's not about the Democratic Party. It's not about the Republican Party or progressives or conservatives or liberals or whatever. This is an agenda of just straight bizarro land nonsense, right? It's a whole new generation of people that older people are listening to and pushing their ideas and beliefs about, like, sexuality, freedom of expression, and everything to the degree that it just exploits people and it leaves people open to exploitation, and it always harms somebody else. There's always a ripple effect to everything you put out there. Everything you do. You think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually harming somebody else. And it's the one thing that I always try to explain to people when people say, I'm on the right. I'm not on the right. I will call out their bullshit whenever it comes across my table, whenever it comes in my DMs or whatever like that. Like I showed you with the robocalls, with other stuff, I will put it out there. But this right here, these kind of things come at me more numerously all the time. And it's like they've just loaded a 30-round clip into a fully automatic Glock, and they're telling me to shoot them. Bam! I'm going to fucking shoot. So the show Cuties comes out, and I have not watched the show, and I will not watch it, period. You could put a fucking gun to my head, I am not going to watch this show. No way, shape, or form. It is child exploitation and perverted pedophilia at its greatest, is what it is. There is nothing normal about an 11-year-old child wearing some fucking booty shorts and twerking on a camera in front of a bunch of fucking drooling, foaming at the mouth weirdos. There's nothing cute about it. There's nothing sexy about that. These are not women. These are children. Many of them haven't even had their first period yet. So when people push this kind of shit out there in the radical left as a means to empower women, because that's what these women's rights groups are trying to say. They're fighting the backlash with this, well, you're just bashing women's rights. You're just bashing women's freedom of expression and freedom of expressing their body in any way, shape, or form. Even if it means an 11-year-old child gets an abortion, they're with it. Even if it means killing a baby right out of the womb, the mother just looks over and says, I don't want that child, snap. I mean, there's shit out there that's like that, man. Make no mistake, it is real. When people try to, like, with all the rebuttals and all the fact checkers and everything that are out there, that try to go after people like me that call out all this pedophilia, all this weirdo shit, Pizzagate, freaking child sex trafficking, what's really going on with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, John Podesta and all his very bizarre, disgusting art that's all over his house, and the shower audio scene that I heard with my own ears, and it damn sure does sound like John Podesta. People call me a nut, and people call people like me dangerous. I have been trying to market The Laughing Boy now for a couple of months, right? It's just freshly been released. I have been met with rejection after rejection, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, Amazon itself, because they say it's too emotionally offensive and it displays child abuse. But yet they're okay with this. Does that make fucking sense to you? You know what I mean? My book, the art and everything that is on it is displaying what I had to endure. Myself, what I had to go through at the hands of these weirdo fucking pedophiles that have been around a long time. We're talking 1988. And the thing that really gets me is a lot of the things that these people had said when they had me held captive on how they're going to normalize this stuff, how they're going to use the web to push it all over the place, how they have big name people already in religious figures, law enforcement, government, celebrities, all that stuff already on board and in their pockets. The menu is for these elites in this black market. But they don't even need to use the black market anymore because the government in this country and these radical leftist weirdos in California are trying to normalize pedophilia to the point to where it's just like no big deal. Look at Greece. They've done the same thing, and then Tom Hanks flees there. All the fact checkers say, oh, no, he wasn't going there because he's wanted for pedophilia or anything like that. He's going there to be a humanitarian. It ain't like he's going to Rwanda or nothing. He went to Greece. It's a westernized country who just liberalized laws against pedophilia as a sexual orientation. But then again, Greece has been all about pedophilia and pederasty forever, since its beginning. So it's really no shock to me when it comes to that. But here you have cuties, right? And it shouldn't even be allowed to be shown. As a matter of fact, the people at Netflix and all the people that produced this movie should all be going to prison. These children are not old enough to express themselves sexually. Sorry, I just had a hiccup. They're not old enough for that. They're not even 16. And in some places in the South and southern states, 16 and 18 are like pretty much the same. And in reality, a lot of 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds are pretty much the same mentally and physically and everything. But we're talking 10 and 11-year-old children in this one right here. And then, of course, I go to look at what all the other reviews are, what other channels are talking about in regards to this. I come across a dude named Sneeko. Go check him out. This dude is a pizza box away from meeting Chris Hansen real soon. And he's actually the first channel, I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think he's the first channel that I've actually really trolled. I left the comment saying that I think you're going to be meeting Chris Hansen real soon when you got that pizza box from Comet Pizza, by the way, with the walnut sauce on it. The funny thing about all this is, like I said, these people will reject my book, my story, something that talks about how this shit is really harming children. The abuse, how it's contributing to suicide, drug abuse, prison time. You also heard it from J.C. Wrong to Strong, how he went through abuse and how it affected his life, how it still affects his life. It still affects mine. From these people, these kind of people. Then you have, what's his name, Mark Wiener, who's a weenie, by the way, who's trying to push laws in California to make it to where, well, you know, if you're a gay man, you're 20 years old and you have sex with an 11-year-old boy, you don't have to register as a sex offender. Their logic to why they're pushing this out there is this. They say, well, it's already on the books that if a 20-year-old man has sex with an 11-year-old girl, he don't have to register as a sex offender. If that is the truth, then that just goes to show you how sick and disgusting they already are. But if that is also the truth, then basically they threw that out there in the beginning to test the waters, to see what they could bring out next. It's kind of like when in doubt, throw out a scout. They threw out the scout with that one. Nobody had any outrage. It flew over everybody's head. Well, now we're going to do it through the LGBTQ angle. And it's not going to stop here, people. We are fighting an uphill battle. We are fighting against a celebrity elite power structure of very well financed and funded billionaires that are pushing for all this shit. The Moloch worshiping, blood drinking, all that stuff like that, if you think that it don't happen, a lot of these children that never are seen again, they meet these fates. You have to understand that child sacrificing, blood drinking, and all this stuff has been going on for thousands of years on every continent. In Uganda, in South Africa, they used to grind up the bones of children, and people would rub it, turn it into paste and rub it on their bodies. In the Inca civilization, they'd take a hammer and smack it over the head of a little girl, wrap her all up, and sacrifice her. Same thing in Aztec civilizations, in Greece, in the Middle East, in Asia, all over the place. What makes you think that it just all of a sudden just vanished? Christianity is what, 2,000 years old? Islam is like 1,500 years old. Buddhism is about as old. Jainism, Zoroastrianism, still around, and it's thousands of years old. What makes you think that these worshiping of blood cults and sacrificing of children and eating children and doing all these things, what makes you think that it does not still exist? And they like to distract people and call that Luciferianism or Satanism, but that's not what it is. It's far more pagan and far less anything close to any kind of Christianity or Judaism that you can get, as I've said before. But Cuties is basically an example for why I am the way I am, why I talk about the shit that I talk about. And then to listen to this guy, Sneeko, talk about, well, all you backwards-ass boomers and Gen Xers and all that. He says he's like, what, Generation Z or some weird shit like that? You know what I mean? He's outraged that people are so mad about this show. And it's like I said, you got to wonder when this dude's going to end up meeting Chris Hansen or when he's going to end up on Megan's Law at some point. And he's talking shit about people's religions on there, like Islam or Christianity, throwing water around, wrapping girls' heads up. Well, guess what? Those children that grow up in Islamic households or Christian households, that is for their parents to decide how they're going to raise them. As long as that child is a child, they don't have any say-so over any of that stuff. They're going to do what their parents tell them to do. And that's the problem. A lot of these younger people are pushing that shit. They don't want to listen to older dudes like me. They don't want to listen to their parents. They know everything. And you take a look around and you look at the suicide rate, how it's sky high. You look at how many people are like strung out on drugs and mental health issues and identity crises going on all over the place. And people encourage it and coddle this stuff. Used to be once upon a time when I was a kid, you got a problem with another boy in the neighborhood, their dads get together, me and that boy go out and we fight it out on the front lawn until somebody wins and then it's over. You do that nowadays, you go to jail. You spank your kid, you go to jail. You tell your kid to go to school, you go to jail. This whole leftist thing of turning children into miniature adults by sexualizing them and giving them complete say-so over their bodies and what they do with their lives is way out of pocket and way out of control. It's trash, man. And I'm not just doing this just because, they're giving me the shine when it comes to my story and my book. I'm doing this because it's a hypocrisy. And then I listen to what some of these other people have to say about all this stuff, and they're all on the left of politics. They're Democrats. They're people that are going to vote for Biden, vote blue no matter who and all that, and they're outraged by this. But yet the very core philosophy of what their side believes is this thing is okay. Which makes me wonder, really, how blue are you if you're outraged by this? You should really, do another re-examination of your political leanings and start to see that maybe, the side that you're taking is completely fucking out of its mind and deranged. I'm not saying the complete right or the alt-right or anything is any better, because it's not. But we have put ourselves in these boxes of left and right, and that's all there is. That's not all there is. You are an individual. You have liberty. Therefore, you could become libertarian very easily and shift this whole political consciousness into something better, something that makes more sense. With all of these people talking about defunding the police and everything, abolishing the police, and pushing pedophilia at the same time, how could I ever get on board with any of that stuff? You want to know what a country looks like full of pedophiles and no police? Just go take a look at how Somalia looked in the 90s. Go take a look at how Iraq looked after ISIS showed up. All them police and everything were gone, man. Little girls getting raped. Little boys getting their heads chopped off. That's what it looks like in the end, people. The thing about all this that really disturbs me is the fact that so many people are trying to normalize this shit. And they're trying to make it a sexual orientation. It is not a sexual orientation. It's child abuse. The things that happened to me fucked me up like my whole life. I'm still fucked up over it. I still have nightmares. And then to have people on here ridiculing me, the same kind of people that support these people are ridiculing me. Just goes to show you the warfare that we are in. People call it a civil race war. We're in a civil ideological war over many different topics. Somebody like me has to speak out because I survived exploitation, possibly being trafficked, abused. I take a look at these children and I take a look at other images and other like little kids and stuff that are getting into all this shit. And I could see the abuse in their eyes. They're brainwashed. They don't even know what they're doing. Shit's got to stop, everybody. You people got to stop drawing these lines in the sand on whatever side they stand and start to look this stuff in the face as if you want to know what true evil looks like, this is what it is right here. And I'm not a person that believes in good and evil. I believe in intention. What is your intent? It's either good or it's bad. The only thing I could say about this right here is that whoever watches this show with an open mind, trying to see like women, empowering women and liberating themselves and their bodies, you are disturbed. You have problems if you can't see the exploitation aspect of this whole fucking movie. The fact that the government and people in the celebrity elite power structure is trying to normalize pedophilia, it's alarming and it's disgusting. I mean, if you go and knock at a door of a pedophile in California and you beat him up, you're getting a hate crime. It's one thing that I laugh when people in the SNY yard say they're smashing chomos. They ain't smashing nobody because you're going to get a hate crime. In the feds, if you smash a chomo, you're getting a hate crime. I mean, maybe not here in Oklahoma, you go beat one up, they don't really care. But you go to a hardcore leftist state like Cali, you're going to prison for beating up a chomo. Just what it is, man. There's coming a time where you're going to have to decide just exactly where you stand in all of this. You can't just pick and choose certain aspects of one side of the political aisle and say, I'm good with this, but I'm not good with any of that, but I'm going to still stick it out. You basically co-sign the whole thing. Whatever side you're on, left or right. Just remember that. And if you're on the left, you co-signing for all this weirdo pedophilia, pederasty type of bullshit. Just letting you know, man. We ain't talking about Democrats and Republicans. We're talking about something totally and entirely different. So just remember that. If you're a Democrat, cool. Separate yourself from this, though. If you're a Republican, cool. Separate yourself from that weirdo racism type bullshit and all the rest of the scumbag criminal philosophy and mentality. Come to the middle, everybody, and understand that this is true freedom right here. To be able to call bullshit out on all fronts and sleep just fine at night. You already know what it is. And you heard it right here. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, not sugarcoat, not politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality. And I'm out.